order in this special recommendation meeting for the DuPage County Zoning Board of Appeals. Initially, pursuant to the Illinois Attorney General's guidance to public bodies on the Open Meetings Act during COVID-19 pandemic, dated July 2, 2020, the Zoning Board of Appeals members may participate without being physically present in compliance with the established provisions. I want to declare that the chairman and one member are present. Other members are present remotely, and therefore we have a quorum present. We have just a couple of items on the agenda tonight. The first is the Trine Construction Corp. Petition from Wayne Township. And I want to recognize Attorney Brian Armstrong because I understand you have a request for continuance. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. We have some issues to tie up with the client, so I'm asking for a continuance to the next recommendation meeting.
Okay. It's not our practice to have a vote on that. Customarily, first continuance, I just declare, that we'll accommodate the petitioner and grant a continuance. I'm inclined to do that tonight, but are there any comments from any members of the board?
I have just I don't know if it's a comment or a question. When I was reading the proposal from staff, it mentions that it will be constructed and done in pursuant to the conditional use. But we always highlight who is getting the conditional use and the fact that it is their conditional use, not if they sell the property or change its hands somehow or things of that nature, the conditional use ends. And then there was two other points that we would also we revisit those, and I can't remember if it's 5 or 6 years. And I had brought up the fact that building or buildings right in front are non-conforming now, but I didn't have a problem if they were made part of the conditional use. But if not, if they became part of the zoning, that I didn't think that was the proper thing to do because they're in the area that would normally not be allowed since they were grandfathered in. And then there was, I had mentioned the idling. When I read the transcript, it appears that counsel for the applicant said he had no problem with a 10 or 15 minute idling restriction. But then at one point later on in the transcript, it says, but of course that does not apply to daytimes. And I'm not sure what is there. So I think it should be continued so we can clear up these issues before we get to the next recommendation meeting.
Okay, well, first of all, are there any other comments? So one other thing that might be considered, when we have a rezoning.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
You asked if there was any other comment. I was wondering if we can also clarify the lease conditions that they have for the drivers and make them part of the conditional use so that they are not arbitrarily changed. And for example, we had asked that the refrigerated trucks be stationed or be parked on the southern end of the lot. Now, if the lease conditions are changed, and if that's not part of the conditional use, they could conveniently be shifted to the northern end or wherever where they would affect residential areas. So do we need to consider making those lease conditions part of the conditional use?
I don't want to respond to any of these things tonight. We'll discuss them substantively at the recommendation meeting. But my suggestion is that the petitioner and the staff attempt to resolve these prior to reconvening on recommendation. While we're going over these various items, we have 3 requests here. The second and third, conditional use and variation. I want to address. Just as in our hearing last week, we had a conditional use with sign exceptions. Exceptions and variations are different sort of things. These variations here are brought as separate relief rather than exceptions under the conditional use. So therefore, they would run with the land. And all of this is sort of inconsistent with our customary practice of taking a rezoning with a PUD so that the rezoning and the PUD are tied together. These are all standing separately, and that means, frankly, that if they were granted, the rezoning standing alone could permit any use of the property consistent within the new zoning district. And the variation, of course, would run with the land. So some of that stuff needs to be considered before the next, all of that has to be reconsidered before the next recommendation meeting. And how long do you need, Mr. Armstrong? Our next recommendation would be February 4. You do this by February 4, or?
Is there only one recommendation meeting per month?
There's the recommendation meetings are the first Thursday of every month. This recommendation was set specially because we could not, for whatever reason, we couldn't. What's that? Oh, we had a 15-day issue, so we set this a notice issue last time. So we set this as a special recommendation for your convenience.
Well, I really would like to try to get all this done by the 4th, and we will work very hard to try to get that done. I would hate to be precluded from requesting another continuance if we didn't have it done, but I'd like to say we can get it done by the 4th.
Well, we'll set you for the 4th, and if you can't, I don't know what the issues are, but if you can't resolve the items that the board mentioned and the items that you have with your client, I don't mean to say that there will absolutely not be another continuance. I meant to say I grant the first one as a matter of course, and then the others are sort of subject to debate from the board. But undoubtedly, there would be some sympathy if you can't resolve your issues. There would be some sympathy for setting it for the March meeting, I'm sure. So with that, if there's nothing further, I will declare that this matter be deferred until the recommendation meeting of February 4 at 5:30, which will again be a meeting conducted in this same format, a Zoom meeting. And those present will be present in this room in the cafeteria, 5:30, February 4, 2021. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll note there's no old business, no new business. And do we have any public comment? We're aware of no public comment having been requested. So I guess we can close our meeting for the evening. Thanks, everybody.
All right.